But in terms of the time, I will now spend some time to pay tribute to my fallen soldier, my fallen colleague, Clinton Andrew Conway. I think that was his middle name. Now, where do I start? Clinton Conway was an older police than I was. He told you all about his background in the force, serving Marconi, serving all the being commander of ENF. He was commander in Borby's, commander in East Division. And I remember too, he was commander acting in a division, because when I took over a division in 2004, I actually took over from CC because he was holding on for Assistant Commissioner Larry George, and I was called by Admin Bombery, Mr. Bombery, Deputy Commissioner, and Mr. Felix, and they told me they wanted me to go and take over a division. So Conway was the man who I actually took over from. But even before then, Conway, I at the TSU, Conway at the training school, we knew each other, not very well. I basically knew CC through his squad mates. CC's regulation number was 9027, and he had a lot of persons. And even before I joined, I remember I joined the regular at Sparnam. We had one of his squad mates there who is a regular in this program, Vibert Lawson, 1966, Vibert Lawson. When I joined the TSU, I met many of his squad mates, 1939, Evans, Cross-Eye, 1942, Bartica George, 1972, McDonald. We had 9107, Kenneth Tapin, 9112, Trim, and I all set 9111, Tulsi Ram, the Williams. We had a lot of that 90 and 9100 policemen at the TSU. CC was at the college sometime thereafter. I remember him there as a sergeant. I was a sergeant at the TSU, and then I became an inspector, and CC was still a sergeant at the TSU. Remember that very well, because we were both promoted to gazetted rank together in the same order, promoted to assistant superintendent. I was an inspector promoted to assistant superintendent. I think that was 1980. CC was a sergeant. Many of you don't know that, but CC never held the rank of inspector. He was promoted from sergeant to assistant superintendent because he was outstanding. He was an outstanding instructor. So he was promoted. He skipped that rank. I think retired Deputy Commissioner Leon Trim, in the same order, in the same force order, special order that came out, he too was promoted directly from sergeant to assistant commissioner. This is from memory, yeah? This is from memory. And we were there. I mean, CC was always well respected because when he became in charge of the training, leading instructor, the training college, he would call me, hey, Paul, I want you to lecture on this subject, discipline, things related to police, things like public order, meetings and processions, and all of those things. CC will invite me to do presentations, and I would readily accept. And so therefore we developed that bond. And then we got promoted. I think I was promoted to the rank of assistant commissioner before him, and he being a commander. At some stage, I was a senior assistant commissioner. So we had the relationship. If you encounter an issue that you're not too certain about, you will call, and then I will give advice and guidance where I can. If I did not know, I will direct them to where they go. When it comes to the law, we had a type of relationship with people like Mr. Jackman, DPP, Ian Chan, DPP, the now acting chancellor. The police, the senior police command had that relationship. So if you were faced with a ticklish issue, you could have gone to those persons and they will guide you as to what you should do. I don't know that they have those type of relationships now, right? But CC was an outstanding instructor, an outstanding trainer. When Larry Lewis established the training college in Borby's some years ago, I can't remember the exact year, but I remember being there for the opening of that adventure training college. And CC was the man identified to be the commandant of that college. I remember well during the opening, Michael Summersall assistant commissioner, now attorney at law. He was the commander of B Division. I remember those things very well, but CC was outstanding as an instructor. And what we did not know, what you may not know too, that CC was he went on a command course in Jamaica, the constabulary in Jamaica. He went there on that program as a student. And he was so impressive that sometime after, he was recruited, he was taken there, seconded there as an instructor at the Jamaican Constabulary College there. And they trained not only policemen in Jamaica, but policemen in the region, in the Caribbean, right? CC was an instructor on that program. So this is not an ordinary man that we're talking about. Not an ordinary man. When the time came, I retired in 2010. CC reached the age of retirement before that because he has 2 years on me. And the government, I think Clement Roy was the Minister of Home Affairs then, asked him to stay on, to train, to at the college to train. And he willingly agreed and stayed on beyond his retirement to assist with training. And he would tell you about all the programs he initiated. For example, some years ago, Larry Lewis decided that they must have a special prosecutor's course. I think it was a 1-year special prosecutor's course. And CC was the man to coordinate that course with the Chamber of the Director of Public Prosecutions, with the University of Guyana, and other agencies. CC coordinated that program for the special prosecutor's course. And many of them are still around. Some of them went to do law. People like Mr. Henry, Patrice Henry, he was a part of that first course. And then he went on to do law. I'm not sure if Paul Williams was, but many officers went on to do law from that program. Former retired Commissioner Leslie James, was also a part of that program, right? CC coordinated that program. Then CC, in 2018, CC was identified by the police. Now, understand this. By the police, CC and I and others were identified to be members of the Police Service Commission. I remember when the executive of the Police Association reached out to me and they asked me, they said to me that they would like to nominate me to be part of the Police Service Commission if I was willing. Well, you know, the government, not say well they beg, but they say, well, look, they believe I would be a fitting person to be. And I asked them, who are the other people you were considering? And they said, well, they consider also Mr. Conway, Vesta Hines, Clay Jarvis. And I said, well, look, those people are people of integrity, and therefore I am giving you permission to submit my name. And they submitted my name, and President Granger decided that I should chair that body. So on August the 9th, 2018, CC, Mike Summersall, Claire Jarvis, Vesta Adams, and myself were sworn in as members of the Police Service Commission. Then I was sworn in as the chairman of the body. And we immediately got to work. We had a meeting the very day. I think we were sworn in like around morning time. And the very, very day, we went to the Police Service Commission's office, and we sat down, and the secretary there briefed us, and we decided to get to work immediately. We started working, right? Immediately, because at the time, we recognized that there was a vacancy for the commissioner. There was no substantive commissioner. Silal Prasad had retired, and David Ramnayan was holding on. And we recognized that would have been an issue that we'll have to discuss. And we sat and we discussed. And we agreed that in order to be very transparent, what we're going to do, we were going to invite each and every assistant commissioner, every single one of them, for an interview. First, we invited them to submit their resumes. And then we decided we're going to interview each and every one of them to finally decide on the ones that we consider suitable to be recommended to be promoted. And we did that. They were all interviewed, and we made the recommendation. I remember well because having gone through and we agreed, and it wasn't a one-man show, it wasn't Paul Slow, even though they came after me later, it wasn't Paul Slow, it was a police service commission acting in the best interest of members of the force and members of the country. And we made our record. We sat there and we decided. So when sometime after, around 2 weeks or so after, I received a summons from the office of the president that to meet with the president at State House. I walked with an envelope, right, with the recommendations. And when President Granger engaged me, and then he said, well, you would want to have the constitutionally required discussion, consultation for promoting commissioner and deputy commissioner. I presented him with the envelope, and he asked, he said, what is this? I said, so this is the envelope with the recommendations. And then he smiled. He said, well, how do you know this is what I'm calling you for? I said, sir, I was taught something called intelligent anticipation. And the fact that this was an issue that was bubbling, I suspect that this would have been the reason for the call. And he laughed. He went through it and so on. And he laughed. And he made his decision. Who should be commissioner? Who should be deputy commissioner? He made his decision. CC was an integral part of that. And let me tell you this too about CC. When we met to consider promotions, we met on 3 occasions, right? The first 2, no controversy. The third one, Brutus and others carried to court and that sort of thing. Nothing could get past CC. CC knew all the police officers and he knew the record inside out. So when the administration tried to deny a person promotion, CC would raise it and we would ask questions. Why is this man not recommended for promotion? Then the other thing they would tell you, well, he's not considered suitable at this time. Why is not considered suitable at this time? Why? Tell us why. They couldn't tell us. Then they would recommend some that CC and I and other people knew they didn't ready, right? Then ready. And when you ask the same question, I say, oh, well, this man, let me see the record to back it up. But nothing got past CC in particular, other members as well. But CC was meticulous. He went into that commission office, sat in the conference room, and he would peruse all of those files. Let me tell you one that I will never forget. There was a particular sergeant on the East Coast, and I can call the officer name. Brutus was the commander at the time. And this man was not recommended for promotion. And, well, they offered something. And we went through, and I don't think he was shortlisted. That was early in the thing. CC went through the file. When we got back, when we met again, CC said, Chairman, I went through this man's file, this sergeant's file. I know what I observed, right? Because, they said that the reason why he was not recommended is because he had a disciplinary conviction within 2 years. Can't remember the sergeant name now. He had a disciplinary conviction within 2 years. CC perused that man's file and looked at the records of that disciplinary conviction and recognized what was considered one of the greatest travesties in the commission. The man was charged, I think he was stationed at Sparndam Police Station, and he was charged with neglect of duty, where someone claimed that they made a report and the sergeant did not take appropriate action. The matter was investigated by the Office of Professional Responsibility, and the sergeant was charged. And a young officer, I think the same controversial one now, he tried the case. And the virtual complainant, this witness or this reporter, failed to show up even though she was summoned and so on. And then they get things, she said, she's no longer interested in this matter. So she was the only witness apart from the formal evidence. She refused to show up to give evidence. The young officer, in fairness to him, I got a file somewhere, recommended that the charge be dismissed against the sergeant for the reasons advanced, that no case has been made out. The virtual complainant refused to give evidence in the matter. There's only formal evidence about the serving of notice and charge sheet. So he recommended that the matter be dismissed. The commander, Brutus, found the sergeant guilty and fined him, can't remember, 1 or 2 days pay. And that is what was being used to deny this sergeant promotion. CC is the man who picked that up. When CC brought it to our attention at the thing, said, what? This man should have never been convicted in the first place. How do you convict a man when the virtual complainant failed to give evidence, gave a clear indication she wishes no longer to proceed with the matter, and you ain't got no evidence in the trial, and they convicted the man? CC picked that up and brought it to the commission's attention. And thereon, we asked questions. And then I remember well, too, because the commander, Brutus as the commander, was the disciplinary authority for the division. Said, well, is that the final disciplinary authority? But so it has to go to the commissioner. So his argument was that even though there was no evidence and he fined the man and convicted him, that the commissioner could have overturned. But it should have never gotten to that stage, because if you are reviewing a matter as a disciplinary authority and you see there's no evidence, you should have concurred with the recommendation from the young officer. But that is what we get. That is what we are. CC brought that to attention. CC brought it to attention, right? So he was so meticulous. And then I remember too, CC, well, he loved cricket. We know that from all the comments. So even when people celebrating birth anniversaries, he was using cricket analogies. He would always tell us how many singles Brian Lara had when he made the world record of 375, and how many singles he had when he made 400 runs. And therefore, he were cautioning those celebrants to be extremely cautious and careful when it comes to scoring. Take your singles, one run at a time. Don't go for no two. Don't play no big shot. CC used to always, he was a fountain of wisdom. Fountain of wisdom. Yeah, he liked cricket. He played cricket too. In the team, I captained the team, police officers team, and CC was a member. He was a wicketkeeper, a member of that team. And we used to do very well. We used to do very well in that team. And not only cricket, but when it came to sports, because for some time he chaired the police athletic committee or whatever they call it. He was integrally involved. He told us here on this program of how close he was to our Olympian Marian Barnett. And she called me yesterday to express condolences and told me how close CC and R was. Yeah, CC was great. He was great. Some time ago, there's an organization too in New York and elsewhere with athletics, former athletes, and CC is a member of that group, and they invited me, and I became a member of that group as well, right? And then let me tell you further. CC started to work with Troy Resources, right? He was a security manager there. Troy Resources is an Australian company that mined for gold in Guyana. And CC was there as the security manager, and he told us of the story of this government trying to get him dismissed after he was trumped up charges were filed. A charge was filed against him and me. He told us the story. I'm not going to go into it now, but surely I will get the opportunity to expand on that a little more. But let me tell you, coming to the thing with CC. People were calling me to find out if he was sick and all of that, if he was sick. I don't think we can say that he was sick in terms he wasn't bedridden or all of that. We know because he told us some time ago that he was off the program for a few episodes because he was admitted, he was in hospital. He had to undergo a surgery. And he said it was successful. He came out. And he's going about his business. As we know, Raul would always tease him. He always meet with the ladies and so on. When he go wrong, Raul was always, Raul would meet another student would remark, because he would tell you he was in town and he met with this lady and the lady thanked us. And CC was a man who somehow he met with ladies when he was going around his business in town. So what happens? Let me tell you how this thing used to work. I started this program in 2021, I think it was. 2021 November. I started the program in 2021 November. I think it's November the 22nd. And I was alone. I used to come here, used to bat for an hour. The program, Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence, was held every Wednesday at 11 o'clock, every Wednesday. And then I invited CC as a guest on one of the episodes. And then he became a permanent fixture. Then we extended the program, because of the many issues we had to discuss, we said we can bring in Monday as well. So we expanded from Mondays alone to Mondays and from Wednesdays alone to Mondays and Wednesdays and Mondays. And then again, because of volume of issues, we extended it to Friday. So we know now it was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Friday is in the afternoon at 4 o'clock. And let me say this. Once I reached out to CC and I said, CC, you can make it? Yes, Paul. Yes. So all we went about the program. We're gonna see issues in the news, issues in when I say issues in the news, I ain't talking about a line program on Tuesday night. I'm talking about issues on social media, issues on the paper, and so on. And then I see something, I would send it to him. And in the news, I would send it to him. And he knows that once it gets to him, he can do the research and so on. He saw something, he would send it to me as well, and that is how we operated. Now, the night before the episode, so it's Sunday night, Tuesday night, and Thursday night, CC would call me between like 8:39. He would call me, and I would answer the phone this way. Hey, good night, CC. He would say, good night, sir. Good night. Always call me like that. So I said, good night, CC. When I see the car, I said, good night, sir. And then we will discuss issues that we want to address the following day. We'd go through, he would offer suggestions and so on, and that is the way in which we operated. Now, when it came to the actual program day, I will then schedule the program. I will say open the school gates. Years ago, we used to get assistance with that, but we learned how to do it ourselves. I will open the school gates. And having opened the school gates, then students, you will come in. But like about half an hour before, well, immediately the school gates are open, I would send the link to him. Right? Sometimes I delay. A matter of fact, a few times just before the program, you would call me and say, hey, I ain't got the link yet. And sometimes I would send the link, and for some reason it's not delivered. I have to resend the link. So I would normally go into the studio, come into the studio around half an hour before the program. Like about sometimes 20 to 15 minutes before, CC would come in. And once he comes in, I would see when he comes in, and I will bring him in to the thing. Now, when I bring him in, he will come in and be in the background. So I will bring him on stage, and when I bring him in, we'll establish that his mic is working. So, can you hear me, CC? Yes, Paul, I'm hearing you. I say, well, look, I'm hearing you too. And then he would relax until the time for him to come and to interact. Last Thursday, we had our usual discussion last Thursday night. And we sat down and we decided what we're going to do. As a matter of fact, let me tell you this. Because one of the issues we had planned to discuss had to do with this strike in the minibus and all of these things. And CC was telling me, because he said his suggestion, we got to suggest that they got to bring back public transportation. And he was telling me about public transportation when he was at Myconi, that his family used to send his lunch with a GTSL bus, and they would bring it to Myconi at the terminal there, and he will collect his lunch from that terminal, and then he will send back the bag. We had that discussion, I think it was Thursday night, right? We had that discussion. So on Friday, I opened the school gates. People came in about 10 to 15 minutes before, as is customary. He came into the studio. I saw him when he came in, right? I interacted with him to ensure that he can hear me and I can hear him. He said, yes, he's hearing me. Then he told me that, look, I ain't feeling too well, but I can make it through the program. Those were his words to me, that he wasn't feeling too well, because I knew he had some medical issues and so on. He said he wasn't feeling too well, but he's going to make it. So I said, all right, partner, I wait. So as many of you would have seen, when 4 o'clock came and I played the introduction and I started the program and so on, I did the roll call, I did the announcements, and then I said, well, let me bring CC in now. So when I brought him in, you would have seen he came into the studio, but something was wrong with his audio. We couldn't hear him. So I said, CC, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And he was fiddling. You could see him fiddling with something. And then he dropped out of the studio. And those of you who were in class that day would have heard me saying it. After he dropped out of the studio, I then said, well, CC is no longer in the studio. Maybe he's having blackout. Because you know there's a feature, blackout. When I said blackout, I didn't mean that he passed out. I was talking about no electricity, right? So, all right, I'm going to wait. And again, you will recall that several times during the program, I was telling you that CC is still not in the studio. I'm going to wait. And we keep going and we keep going. The program ended, and he was unable to come into the program. So I then ended the program, and I reached out to him. I called him on his cell phone, and he did not answer. Then I called a little later. I gave him some time. I called, no answer. So I said, well, something wrong. And then I went to bed. And I woke up early Saturday morning. I checked to see if he had responded. There was no response. So I reached out again and said, morning, CC, and thing I sent out to him. No response. Then shortly after, at 7-something the morning, my phone, aside lit up, not a ring. I wanted to ring to disturb you during the night. And I saw Clinton Conway. So I said, well, CC calling me finally now. When I picked up the phone, when I answered the phone, it was his wife. And she told me, bad news, right? No, even before that, on Saturday, it was Saturday morning, right? He died yesterday. So Saturday morning, when I picked up the phone now, she told me that, look, they have to take him to the hospital. That's Friday afternoon. So I guess that is why he did not come back in. He had to be taken to the hospital. And with the same issue that he had a surgery that he told you about, and apparently there were complications from time to time. So he had to be taken back to the hospital. And she took him back to the hospital, and she said to me that they weren't able to resolve the problem Friday. So they scheduled, she used the word major surgery for Wednesday. That is this coming Wednesday. Major surgery for this coming Wednesday. So yesterday Sunday morning, I would say just after 7, sometime after 7, the phone lit up. When I looked, it was CC's name that showed up. This time it was the wife again, and she said, bad news. I said, what? Then she tell me, your partner passed. And emotions, I said, what? She said, yeah. Well, she explained exactly what happened and so on, and he passed. And, since then to now, I really can't catch myself. I really can. Because we spoke on Friday at the beginning of the program. He told me, he said, look, I ain't feeling good, but I'm going to make it through the program. I said, good, man, no problem. Right? And then as we see, and I have to look back at the program last night to just to confirm the sequence of events that he came in. He had problems with his microphone, and then he came off, and I never got him again. And the fact that I kept during the course of the program saying that he's going to come in at some time, that was not to be. But such is life. Great man of integrity, honesty, integrity. And that is what is lacking in a lot of people. Even the detractors, they can't honestly find fault with him. And what they say, I remember the Attorney General, Anil Nandalal, SC, MP, he refers to Conway and Slow as we are critics of the government or something like that. Right? On his program, he said, so we are adjusted, CC adjusted. And we are not critics of the government. We are the speakers of truth. There is corruption, and we pointed out. There is incompetence, and we pointed out. But they don't like that. Right? So listen to us when we think. Someone ever calls, oh, y'all identifying problem, but you ain't giving solution. I said, well, what's wrong with these people? Every time we identify a problem, we would tell them what recommended solutions they are. We will tell them that, but they don't like to hear the truth. When we talk about corruption in the police force, we identify instances and we say, well, it's allegation, because most of these things are allegation, except when he can admit it that he took $8.5 million. We said allegation. But we said in a proper system, these serious allegations would be investigated. We have said that. We have been critical of that, right? That you were there, that look, OPR investigating, and that's the end of it. You don't hear anything further. And we have many, many examples that we have cited. Matters happen, OPR investigating. And then what happens? There's no follow-up. We don't know if they investigate. We don't know what is the outcome of the investigation. And that is what we have been saying. Because let me tell them this, by now everybody come to, all of you would know. We impart a lot of knowledge. People have been saying that. Because with our training, with our experience in the various divisions and the various branches of the force, we have a wealth of experience, and we would seek to pass that on to the people. And we have said repeatedly that they may be not comfortable with the method, but we said the method is all because we are considered persona non grata. Long ago, they would have invited us to do presentations to officers and so on, right? But since they tried to get rid of me and Conway, and there's another story in itself. When we were the police service commission, the president wanted certain people promoted, and we stood our grounds. We said, no, the rules as exist would not permit for those persons to be promoted because they have disciplinary matters, pending disciplinary matters. And they went after us. They then concocted, fabricated charges to get us off of the police commission. The evidence is there. CC and I were members of the police service commission at that time to get us off. And then the president unlawfully, unconstitutionally suspended the commission because he did not want the commission to make promotions. When the matter was thrown out, or when the matter was thrown out by the acting chief justice at the time, and we proceeded to make the promotions, Nandalal went on the 29th of June 2021. He went on NCN and he said that the government will not recognize the promotions that were made by the constitutional body, the Police Service Commission. That is what he said. And on today, like today, they have not recognized those promotions. Some of the people were promoted subsequently, but the list that the Police Service Commission, the constitutional body for promotions from inspector to officers, to assistant commissioner, the list that was prepared, they recognize it up to date like today. Up to date like today. So that is what we pointed out. And I remember too very well that when I traveled to Guyana and went to court on the 15th of October 2021, right, to answer to that trumped up charge. As a matter of fact, I answered not in the charge of conspiracy to commit fraud, for which I was jointly charged with CC and others. But then, to my surprise, there are 3 charges saying that for sexual assault, where a policewoman claims I rubbed her leg during a meeting on 3 separate occasions, 3 consecutive days, 3 separate occasions. When I went there, accompanied by Mr. Selwyn Peters into that courtroom that day, is the first time I'm going to hear about that. First time. CC was with me. When the people from Soku confronted me in the courtyard as I was answering a summons to go to court, confronted me to arrest me for charge that was before the court, CC was there with me. When after I was put on bail on those charges, and I decided that I was going to make a report at the Brigdam police station, reporting the behavior conduct of Nandalal, who I said threatened me, because he went on the program and he said words to the effect, he thought it was a Bajan, which I believe is defamatory. And then he said that people like me, right, have no place in a society governed by the rule of law. I consider that a threat on my safety and security, right? And CC was there. So when I went to make that report, it was CC, my attorney, Mr. Selwyn Peters, and myself. We made that report at Brigdam Police Station. He was there with me. Of course, during the conspiracy to commit fraud trial, we were co-accused or co-defendants at one stage, and he was there. And then when that other trumped up charge came up, those 3, the other one, where they said that I revealed the name of the complainant. They call it anonymity of complainant. CC was there by my side of it as well. So once CC was told, well, this is the date, CC found himself there. When some years after, you recall a few years ago rather, with this Venezuelan issue, I decided that I was going to go in front of the Venezuelan embassy in East Street and protest the aggression by Maduro. From the time I told CC that, CC joined me there every day. Patrick Mentor, CC, Ron Delane came a few days, and some others came there to join us. Eddie, and many of them came to join me there. That was the type of person he was. That was the type of person. He believed in right. He believed in right. He shared his knowledge. As you have all come to know on this program, he would share his knowledge and so on. I do the same. But you know, CC had a unique style in that he would get the books. He tell you, just buy books. He tell you where to buy the books at the Attorney General's chambers or at Parliament building. Go buy your books. He tell you TV books. And he had only buying it for style. He buying it and he reading it. And he would read sections of the law to us. He was known for that. All of you down this program know. He would read the sections and tell you what the law says. And people have said now, and I've said before, they are much wiser for it. Right? I remember too, let me say this. I remember too, when the government, this PPP government, in 2022, I think it was, they appointed, I think it was 3 members they appointed 4 members of the Police Service Commission. They appointed the deceased bishop. They appointed Conway, his cousin. They appointed Akeem Muhammad. I think, who else they appointed? And they appointed Ernesto Chofat, right? At the time, there was no Public Service Commission. And therefore, there was not that 5th person. CC is the man who picked it up and wrote in the newspaper. He wrote letters. He was a frequent writer to the editors. And he said that the Police Service Commission cannot be constitutional in the absence of the chairman of the Public Service Commission. And Senior Counsel Royce Ford he talked about it. He agreed. And Nandlal went and say how Ford following people who know the law and all sort of thing. That is what. And the appointment was challenged. And the matter went before the Chief Justice acting at the time, Roxanne George, right? And she agreed, she ruled that in the absence of the chairman of the police, of the Public Service Commission, the Police Service Commission is not properly constituted. And then she went on, because they had gone ahead in 2022 and made that overnight promotion where people who had no longer been in the force and all that was promoted. But then she used, I think it was a de facto doctrine, to save the decisions made. So in other words, even though the commission was deemed not to be lawfully, not to be constitutionally appointed, she said that the action they took up to the time of the ruling, she would save those actions, because you can't punish a third party and all of that. The legal words were used. Clinton Conway is the man who identified that issue in the first instance, right? First instance. So I say this to say to you, Clinton has made his contribution, right? Many of you, because people will tell you that he there as the man in charge of training, many people have said he was responsible for the training and he was responsible for so much more in the full. Quiet man, quiet, humble man. So the good Lord knows best, and the good Lord say, come home, you good and faithful servant, and he has gone to the great beyond. But let me say this, our people have asked, what now happens to the program? Speaking out. Well, I guess very shortly you will not hear the intro which talks about Paul Sloan, Clinton Conway, because Clinton Conway is no more. But I can tell you that the program will continue. Let me repeat that. This speaking out, exposing corruption, incompetence, will continue to the work, because I know in honor of CC's memory, I owe him and all of you a duty to continue this program. I owe him in particular a duty, and I ain't stopping, no done as you like. The corruption will continue to be exposed. I will continue to share my knowledge, and who vex lose, or as them little Bible say, who vex drink marvex. It will continue. As I've said, it started. I started alone. CC joined me, very thankful and gracious to that, and he has been with me for years now. I can't remember the exact time. I'm going to do the research, but I can't remember the exact date he joined or which episode he joined, but he joined me, and since then he has been with me, except on a few days where remember he was hospitalized, and then he would have some emergency. Apart from that, he has been here as a loyal soldier. So that is all I want to say at this time about my fallen colleague. But let me see if I can get to play. Let me put him up here. Again, I getting some issues with the thing they want to do. Oh Lord, I really don't know what is happening. Y'all bear with me, because I'm trying to get the part of this broadcast where I can play the appropriate thing, but something is happening. Oh, okay, I think I get it now. This is a song. He told me that he was so happy when I played this, and somebody recommended that I should play it today. So here we go.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire, and in darkest night, you are close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. Hey! 'Cause all my life you have been faithful. Oh yes you have. And all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Your
I'm advised that the stream on YouTube has ended. So I'm advised that the stream on YouTube, I guess because of the song again. I know I don't know, but because many times this same song play and you ain't got no problem. So I'm gonna close now, but let me just play this one. I hope, well, for those of you who can hear it, let me play this one and we are going to end the program. Let me, where it is? This one, yeah.
Buonanotte amore, buonanotte ovunque tu sia, ti vedrò nei miei sogni. Buonanotte a te, buonanotte a te che sei lontano.
Well, I think that was a appropriate song. We had some issues there with YouTube when it came off, and then it came back on. Again, I want to thank you folks for being here this morning. I will keep you informed. Follow the page, subscribe, follow the page. I'm going to keep you informed about arrangements for the funeral and other arrangements associated with that activity. I'm going to, as soon as I get the information, I'll pass it to you because I know that many of you would want to pay tribute. Those of you who are in Guyana would want to know so that you can attend the wake, whether they have a night of reflection, I don't know. The funeral, I don't know, but I'll let you know as soon as I get word. So look out, and again, I encourage you to subscribe to the page on YouTube, follow it on Facebook, and you're going to get almost instant updates as soon as the information is made available to me. I expect that the family today, he died on Saturday morning, So I expect that today, Monday, working day, the family will be busy making arrangements. Because tomorrow in Guyana is a public holiday in respect of Republic Day, in respect of Independence Day. And then don't forget, Wednesday is also a public holiday. Wednesday is also a public holiday in Guyana. But let me also inform you immediately that we are going to be on Wednesday. God's willing. God's willing. We have to always say that. We always say that. Because on last Wednesday, we said God's willing, we'll be here on Friday. I was here, CC was here briefly, and he dropped out. But I said on Friday afternoon, God's willing, we're going to be here Monday. I am here. CC is no longer in the land of the living. So, yeah, we have to give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. So stay tuned, and I am going to update you on the arrangements. But before we go, let me just play this last one, and then we are going to bow out. I'm going to bow out.